right, everybody. Good evening. We are back. Season 10 is here and we are taking over again. So for those that don't remember, my name is Christina and I have a few of my amazing, spectacular castmates and teammates with us tonight. And get ready, guys. You are going to want to grab your pen and your paper and take notes because they are going to share their wisdom. They're going to share their personal journey through this program, and it is going to be amazing. So, but let's think about this, guys. Y'all are season 11. Y'all are finished with week 6, coming into week 7. Y'all are 25% through phase 1. 50%, no, 25% through the whole program. Think about this, 50% through phase 1. Oh my gosh, like how do y'all feel? Can you believe it's like this far out already? It's crazy. Oh my gosh. And the commitment and the results that we're gonna share, it's freaking amazing. But so before we go into that, let's jump on the scale.
Simon, 234.8.
Katie, 184.4.
Rosa Mercedes, 152.4 pounds.
Angela, 261.8. Carmen, 242.7. 242.7.
215.8. All right, guys. So we are officially halfway through phase 1. And so our standings are in 6th place. We have Anya with 10.2 pounds lost, gone. Woo! At 4.16%. In 5th place, we have Svetlana at 14.8 pounds eliminated and 6.41%. In 4th place, we have Carmen at 19.6 pounds at a 7.47%. In 3rd place, we have Rosie. Rosie's with a 13.4 loss at 8.07%. In 2nd place, we have Angela. And Angela is at 24.2 pounds lost, gone, eliminated at 8.23. And number 1, whoop, whoop, Katie with 23.2 pounds lost at 11.17%, ma'am. Congratulations. And we are celebrating new decades. We've got Angela in the 260s. Guys, let's congrats, guys. That's amazing. All right, so tonight, whew, this is going to be a good one. And we are going to be talking about the gray zone. The time has come. The excitement. We've been excited, right? Life is hitting. Things are happening. Work, kids, all the things. And so this is a perfect time to bring in this topic and to discuss the gray zone. So when we talk about this, we want to think about each of us wants success. And the key thing to our weight loss success is to find somebody who has done what you want and do what they do, right? Sounds simple enough. But you have to find a program that has results. And with the results, guys, you have to, guess what? We got to follow the recipe. And as adults, this is literally probably one of the hardest things for us to do. Follow directions, right? It just doesn't come naturally for adults. And we tend to challenge it and complicate it. So I'm sure you've all heard of this example, right? Think about a family member's most treasured recipe, right? So you grew up with it, you love it, you adore it, you can't wait to try it. I'll give you an example for me. My father's soup, and for us it's called menudo. Don't know if any of y'all know what that is. So it's a Mexican type soup. Anyways, so he is no longer with us. He is in a different place. And one of the things that we didn't get from my father was that exact recipe, right? So what we've been doing since then is we've been trying to replicate it, duplicate it. We're playing around with it, right? We're like, and my mother pretty much kind of gave us the recipe, but it wasn't his exact recipe, right? And so the results of that, every time we all try, we just miss the mark. It's not exactly what it needs to be. And so with that, what do you think is happening in that situation? We're experimenting. It's not really the exact, process. And so we'll never get it exactly the way he had it. That's the same that could be said with a favorite recipe that your family has. And what we decide to do, like most people, you get this recipe and you're like, oh, you change it, you question it, you make substitutions, you wing it. Or like me, you don't measure a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or you eyeball it, right? Then when it comes out, you're like, what the heck? And so we tend to blame the recipe. Oh, no, it wasn't me. Like, hello, I just put stevia instead of real sugar, right? And it just doesn't come out the same. And we keep experimenting and we're complicating it and we're modifying it, but we're not taking ownership for the fact that we made those little changes, right? So that happens in life. And so at the beginning of the program, Carmen gave y'all a checklist. And this checklist and the commitment letter and all the things, right? She has shown the results of people who have followed the program to the T, and results have been delivered. It's black and white. But human nature, we're going to change it. We're going to be like, oh, I need a little bit more protein. I'm going to have an extra red. We're going to wing it. We're at a conference. We're at a meeting. Oh, I think this blue container looks like, oh, we're going to eyeball it. Like this will do, right? We're going to assume it. We could be lazy with it. Oh, it's tired. I'm tired. I didn't get my, my purple in. I'm going to, just eat from the container that it came in, right? The fruit. Or we could just be so exhausted and tired, right? Those excuses, the old mindset that we had, and that we start to become half-hearted with it. Like we're losing our steam. Thank God for this group. Thank God for the accountability that y'all all have each other, because as time goes on, you're going to need each other more and more.
Where do I want to start? Okay, so you guys know I'm a busy mom and wife. I got a toddler I'm running after her. And been working 40 plus hours a week. And before during this program, I never had like a consistent routine or sustainable goals or a method to reach those goals. And then through this program, we've developed these sustainable methods, which have resulted in lifestyle changes through habits, rituals, routines. And throughout this entire thing, we've developed these strategies to help us move towards our goals. And one second, sorry. want to talk about, so the gray zone, and I looked up on Google because I'm like, what does Google have to say? It just says a situation in which it is not clear whether something is legal or illegal, acceptable or not acceptable. And it's funny when you think about food. So now I think, is this food legal or is it illegal? Throughout this program, there's been many instances of the possible gray areas that come up. And I think it's mostly like a behavioral thing. Like, we know what our gray areas are. We know what options we have. And sometimes we choose not to pick the correct one. And to have all these strategies, it's really important that we revisit them, and so that we can get back on track through willpower, strength, decisions, choices, so that we can stay on task and stay on plan. So for me, I think of it like there's main areas. There's sleep, water, eating properly, exercise, accountability, and mental and emotional factors. So we know as adults, we're supposed to have like 7+ hours of sleep. And a gray area for me is like, I'm watching Netflix at night with my husband, and I'm like, I'm watching SWAT right now. I'm like, I want to watch another episode. I'll get 5 hours of sleep. It's fine, but it's not fine. And it's really important to have a consistent sleep schedule. You guys know that. Have a bedtime and a wake up time, and try to keep it consistent. Adapt great sleep hygiene habits. And then when I think about sleep, I think about why I'm doing it, not just like I have to do these things. Why? So I know that sleeping helps me recover and repair my muscles and release growth hormone, which is needed. When it comes to water, when I first started this program, I had such a hard time getting all of my water in. So I bought a half gallon bottle, and I fill it up twice, and I drink the entire thing now. But instead of thinking like I have to drink my water, I think, well, what is this doing for me? Right? It's hydrating me. Water helps transport nutrients and oxygen to my cells, helps carry toxins away from my cells. And so that's just how my mind thinks about the water. Like, so I kind of encourage myself to make the right choice. Eating is a learning process for me. It's really hard. Before starting this program, it was like binge or not eat at all, and then eat everything at night. And to help with this process, you follow the plan. And if you have trouble or you get bored with following the plan, which can be your gray area, right? We can veer off and, eat chicken nuggets that we shouldn't be eating, extra protein, or like that cake over there. We know we need to stay on the plan to help us reach our goals. I think of it like this food's nourishing my body, like make the right choice. It's providing the proper nutrients so that I can reach my health goals. It's helping my body function to the best of its ability so I can do all the things I want to do. Accountability, we have to check in. We have our tracker. Those are the things that help us stay on task. What's helped me is leaning on my castmates, because we all have life struggles that happen. Somebody passes away, or work or whatever. And so it's really important to like lean on your castmates and learn from your mentors, ask questions when you need to.
As you can know, the gray area is what we're talking about tonight. So I want us to stop and think a little bit. Some people are either black or they're white. But there's some that like to be in the gray area because they don't really have to make a decision on what is right or wrong that way. Like that's their comfort zone. That way they don't really have to take accountability for the action. They can be like, well, so I want you to think about that. Like, are you a black if you will. Like, I don't mean skin color, but like, are you a black person? Are you a white person? Or are you in that gray area? Where do you operate in the most? And I want you to think like, there's some things that I do that I'm like, oh no, that is a hard no. Like, I am not going there. Like, there is no way I'm going off of that. And then there's some things that's like, oh, like, I'm a hard yes on that. But I want you to stop and think like, who or where did the mindset come from that has put you into the idea that it's okay to be in that neutral zone or the gray zone, if you will? Like, who taught you that? Who taught us that that is okay to operate in there? Because it's not helping us become who we are created to be. It's not helping us to become our full potential when we operate in that gray zone. It's when we operate in the white zone, if you will. I'm calling the white zone the good zone, if you will. Like when we operate there is when we are and will become our true potential of what we're supposed to be. So I want you to think about white paint, and I want you to think about black paint. Okay? So every time that you lick or you nibble or you take a bite that's not on your plan, I want you to come over here in the black paint, and I want you to put 1 drop of black paint in that white can of paint. Probably the first couple times you do that, you might not see much of a difference. There's enough white in there that drop it's not gonna do much. It's not gonna change the first couple times. But what if you have that bite or that nibble 2 or 3 times today? Well, today I messed up. Tomorrow I got this. And you operate in that white zone all day. So you did good. So you get to put some white in there. But let's say the next day you nibble and snack again, and you're putting your black drops in again. How long is it going to take for that white to look a muddy, yucky color? It's not going to take very long, because black is obviously it's much stronger, it's much dominant than what white is. So how many days are you going to have to put white back into that gray color, if you will, to get that gray color to be nice and white? It's going to take a long time to make so that you've got your nice white base, if you will. That came to my mind when I was thinking of the gray area, was just the white and the black paint. Like, I'm a very visual person. Like, when I can see things, it makes sense to me. When I can't see it, it doesn't make sense. So stop and ask yourself, like, well, how are my days honestly? Am I operating in white? Am I operating in black? Am I operating in gray? Because the scale is only telling you what you're really doing.
The gray zone is where we self-sabotage most of the time. And if you're there for any amount of time, I can guarantee you that's going to happen. And so I want to talk a little bit about, so one of my gray zones, as I was saying, was the peach ice cream. We did a family vacation, and they made the homemade ice cream. So I decided I'm not going to have a bowl. Nope. Well, I walked by and I just put my spoon in, took a bite, walked by again and took another bite. Well, I shared it with the group, and I think I am still Mr. Peach Ice Cream to Carmen. She didn't want to let that go for a while. So one of the things is I want to talk about, all of us are here because we've been in the gray zone for a long time. We didn't get fluffy by being in the white zone, like Karen was saying. So what are the habits that got you to where you were?
So what areas have I been in the gray zones? So I would say it would be like tonight, leaving out a green container or leaving out certain containers on certain days. And not necessarily by want, but maybe more by lack of preparation. So that is an area that I need to work on. And getting enough sleep or getting enough good quality sleep, because that is definitely somewhere where I have issues. I've talked about this in the polos about my hamster and all that, because I'll be in bed 8 hours, but out of the 8, I might sleep 5, 6. So I don't get my full like 5 cycles of sleep, that's for sure. So those are areas that I am working on. But I think for the rest, I'm doing pretty well. I had like family supper yesterday, and usually that is also a trigger where I normally would overeat, because there's always like a spread of all these appetizers before the main course, and then so you fill up on appetizers and or actually overfill. And then I wouldn't just like take one plate. It's the only time where I'd actually usually get a second serving, just because of unfortunately sometimes those family suppers are like stressful for me. So yeah, but other than that, so I went yesterday and that didn't happen. I really stuck to the plan, so I was really proud for that. But yeah, in general, I'd say the gray where I need to work are like getting all my containers in and the sleep.
Alrighty, where I've been mostly in the gray zone is, and for me, it's really understanding my body in a sense of my pregnant body is telling me, girl, sit your tail down. This workout is, you know, you need to schedule this workout later on today versus doing it right now, because you're halfway lightheaded, or you're feeling a certain way, and I need to listen to my body. So like this past weekend, it was kind of go, go, go. And I didn't work out for 2 of the days. And then the third day, which was yesterday, where I tried to work out, every time I got up, my body kept telling me to lay down. Mind you, the other 2 days, I felt great when I got up. I could have worked out. And even with the hectic schedule that was going on around me. And so it's just finding that balance and not making the excuses for my body, listening to my body, knowing when it is time for me to sit down and listen to my body, and knowing when it's time for me to push through and get it done, because I don't feel as bad as I'm telling myself that I feel. So I'll say workouts, because normally I will then force myself to work out towards the end of the night on days I don't work out in the mornings. And it's so much harder for me to work out in the evenings. Working out in the morning, it just sets my day up. I know I did that. I accomplished that. I wear my watch so I get to see the calories burned. I'm like, yeah, head start. We're on this thing. So I'm really working on that. Like today was a day where I had to sit. I had to nap majority of the day, just because I did more these past couple days than I have in a while since being pregnant. So it was just a lot. And I'll say my second would be the unplanned cheats. I I have 4 kiddos. So it's at the beginning, the hardest part was not eating behind their leftovers. I've gotten over that. I'm good now. I can see the, couple nuggets left on the plate and not go and take a bite out of one. I'm doing better with that. But it's being around fellow foodies who who they have to eat, so they're going to eat what they want to eat, and just being around them and saying, no, don't pick up that sweet potato fry. It's not, just one, it's not worth it, because now you have to, like you said, I have to report that to everybody because I'm feeling guilty, I'm feeling bad. I'm like, okay, so yeah, I did. And every now and then, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've said it really fast. Yeah, I had an unplanned cheat. However, and it's like I kind of, not brush past it, but so that's really what I'm working on, just seeing the food and knowing that one sweet potato fry is not gonna all of a sudden make me gain a pound the next day. So that being in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's just a sweet potato fry, but it still puts me in the gray area. I'm probably not gonna gain a couple of ounces from that one sweet potato fry, but it still puts me in the gray area. So that's what I'm working on, that little one piece of something, not eating an entire or eating like a couple. It's one. And that's what I'm working on.
There, sometimes on these, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna say? This one, I know exactly what I'm gonna say. I have a list. One is the same as Anya's, bites of my kids' food. Like we went to a restaurant today and it's all these different kind of tacos. And I'm like, I ordered my little lettuce wrap that would fit, and make sense, but he had buffalo chicken and he had this. So I tasted this and I tasted that, and that doesn't fit in any container whatsoever. And then also not using the container. So I've been on this trip and I didn't bring my containers, but honestly, even before, like I would just eyeball, okay, this is about this much peanut butter, this is about this much hummus or whatever. And I wasn't truly using the containers all the time anyway. So I definitely need to recommit to that. And not truly measuring the gallon of water. I was doing that about half at home too. So, and definitely on this trip, like I've been drinking constantly, but I did not bring a gallon. So I don't know for sure if I'm getting my gallon. So I definitely need to recommit to all those measurements and not eat my kids' food. It's their food. It's not mine, and I'm not going to starve.
Okay, so my gray area is definitely eating all my containers. I'm definitely guilty of missing them. And I always say that I got my containers if I miss a couple teaspoons, which I don't know if I'm right or wrong there. And I miss those sometimes too, because of lack of planning. And for me, if I'm outside of my window, like I'm going to take the L on the containers over eating later, because that's previously been the worst thing for me. Not eating all day, like Sam said, and then eating at night. Terrible for everything. So that's my gray area. And my black area is sleep. Always been an issue for me, and I'm working on it, but I could do better. And I know that you can lose a lot more weight if your body is rested properly. So that's it. I think. I don't know if checking in is a gray area. I do. I think I check in a lot, but sometimes later than I should, like at, in the afternoon rather than the morning. But other than that, I think that's where I'm at.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, I don't know, Angela, you check in a lot. I think she's on. I read the rules and I was like, I guess I have to reread them, but it just says to check in. I think with the workout or something, but not necessarily in the morning. So I think I get confused with that anyways. And my cast members do such a great job skipping some of their containers. Ma, on the other hand, add them. So Karen, like, it's not even the lid. I'll be like, I had an extra green, I had an extra red. And yeah, it's because, you know, I'm in my mind thinking I'm hungry when sometimes I am, but like Carmen says, you know, your body really doesn't know. So if you tell it you're not hungry and you had all your nutrients and your, food, you're okay. So it's not even because I was asking the group too, like, is it unplanned sheet or is like an extra container? Because, um, yeah, anyways, that's my gray area, and I will fix it by recommitting and measuring appropriately because I do that. I tend to measure something out and then kind of remember how much it is. And I think that's gotten me into trouble a few times. Like I know like the 2 mini cucumbers would like be a green or something, and so I'll just ballpark it sometimes. Um, and I think that also stems from just habits, our fluffy selves. If I think about it, like that's how I operated before. Like you're cooking, you're tasting things, you're eating on the go, like you're setting the table. And so you're eating while, and then you grab a plate and then you keep eating. And it's like, but Solana, like by the time you actually sat down, you probably had a full meal by then. So it's real, yeah. And the more kids you tend to have, the more you're just like cooking and cooking all the time. So, um, yeah, I was thinking about that because I recognize that. And it also the gray area, it made me think of like when, season 10 was talking about like how many detours do you actually want to make? Like you can make a few detours and you'll still get to point B. It's just gonna take a lot longer. And we only get this phase once, right? And so I tell myself these things like this is going to be over like so fast, and then you're going to regret not being so super laser focused. So, and ultimately like Cliff did such a good, he had like no cheats in focus phase, right, Cliff? Like I'm only going to disappoint myself and maybe Cliff, like, but other than that, like nobody really truly, you know what I mean? Like this deep sense of like, no one really cares, but like me, right? Yeah. And then the habit tracker. That's one other thing that has gone off with the wind, like I don't know where it is. Oh my gosh. Once again, you're excusing yourself. Okay, it's 10 o'clock, it's my bedtime. Well, it's 10:05, it's 10:15. And then I get woken up all through the night. I still have some little ones, so it just kind of like uh it it's challenging to say the least. So, and I don't know, I like the snacking, the bites, also the nibbles. It's a real thing. And I think being a lot more intentional, and just being true to myself and saying no, if this is what, the emotional thing is really, really real too. And getting rid of that has been quite the journey. And, you know, I don't always have the mental capacity to like grab some water and walk out the front door, so um sometimes you just gotta tell it to Jesus and move on real fast. But yeah, those are just the extra eating and bites and nibbles, and I do make an honest effort to report it, but I do need to cut that out. So I do appreciate this conference call.
Hi. So for me, I feel like my number one gray zone would be, especially this week, was my sleep. Like I'm like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. I can go to bed at 11. Oh, let me scroll a little bit. And it's by the time I realize, sometimes I go to bed at 12. So this weekend made me realize how important sleep really is. Because the scale was not happy with me this morning. Another gray zone that I have to really work on is also checking in. I will check in the morning. Sometimes I like do my workout and I'm rushing to go to work and it's 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't check in. And I said I was going to check in every morning, not at 1 o'clock. So I would say those are my two most major gray zones. And then one gray zone that I realized actually this weekend, it was that I wasn't measuring right. And sometimes I will like, oh, it's a gray. I mean, it's a red, but I actually needed more food. So I noticed that I would like skip some containers. So when I'm at work, I meal prep my foods and I have everything set up so I know what I'm eating. But I noticed that when I'm not working, I forgot my shake or it's past my window. So I don't, if it's past my window, I'm like, I don't want to eat because I passed my window. So there I go. And I miss like one green, one red. And I'm like, I didn't eat enough. So those are my totally gray zones: sleep, measuring, and checking in. So I'm really ready to work on those things.
As we come into this week and you're in the second half of phase 1, and it's a great opportunity to reset, restart, look at the contract, and just like we've all shared, the gray areas, we each know what we need to do to fix it, and just continue to remind yourself what you're fighting for. Who are you doing this for? Your why. And remind yourself that you're worth it and that you can do hard things and that you were created to do hard things. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your ship, as Carmen says, and you direct your ship and where to go. So keep going, stay strong, and each of you have this, ladies, and I cannot wait to see the end result. All of us, season 10. And we truly do believe in each of you. So thank you guys. Y'all have a great night.